Replacing a driveway is one of the largest capital expenses you will take on for your home's exterior. Looking at 2026 pricing in the Kenosha area, the final bill for a project can land anywhere from $3,600 to well over $19,000. You might receive one quote for $6 per square foot and another for $16. Both of those numbers are entirely legitimate, but they represent two completely different structures. This quadrant chart maps out exactly how those price differences happen. On the horizontal axis, we have your finish choices, from basic utility up to premium aesthetics. On the vertical axis, we have the physical strength of the slab, ranging from standard vehicle loads up to heavy-duty structural reinforcement. Down in the bottom left corner, at the $6 mark, you have your standard unadorned concrete pour. And up in the top right, pushing into the premium $18 range, you have highly customized jobs that require extra thickness and complex decorative stamping. If you ask a contractor for a quote without specifying where your property falls on this chart, you risk overpaying for features you don't actually need. Conversely, underpaying for a basic slab when you regularly park heavy equipment will cause the concrete to crack and fail long before it should. Making the right decision comes down to identifying which of three buyer profiles fits your household. First, the pragmatist, the aesthetic investor, or the heavy-duty user. Knowing exactly which of those categories you belong to is the most effective way to avoid sticker shock and lock in an accurate, realistic budget. We start with the pragmatist. This is the homeowner focused on getting the absolute longest lifespan out of their driveway for the lowest possible upfront cost. For this buyer, the primary debate is often whether to pour a standard 4-inch concrete slab or opt for the initially cheaper alternative of asphalt. Asphalt has a lower entry price, but it softens in the summer heat and requires a strict resealing schedule to keep it from breaking apart. Concrete demands a higher initial investment. However, a well-built pour handles Wisconsin's brutal winter freeze and thaw cycles effectively, resulting in a 30-plus year lifespan with minimal upkeep. For a plain broom finish concrete driveway in 2026, you can expect a baseline price between $6 and $10 per square foot. This matrix tracks exactly what you get for your money. For the pragmatist, a typical 600 square foot driveway with a 4-inch broom finish comes in between $3,600 and $9,600. You secure decades of durability, but accept a utilitarian gray aesthetic. Even this most basic tier is subject to a major hidden variable: the current condition of your site. If an existing driveway needs to be torn out and hauled away, that immediately adds $1 to $3 per square foot to your base cost. Add in poor soil conditions or necessary drainage fixes, and a sloped lot that would normally quote at $6 can easily jump to $9 before a single drop of concrete is poured. The bottom line for the pragmatist is that basic concrete still demands a serious upfront commitment, but it pays back that premium through decades of near-zero maintenance. Next, we have the aesthetic investor. This buyer prioritizes exterior property value and high-end curb appeal above all else. They want the sophisticated look of natural stone or individual pavers, but they want to avoid the long-term headache of weeds and uneven settling that comes with individual blocks. Techniques like stamped patterns, colored stains, or exposed aggregate deliver the exact texture of stone in one solid, structurally sound pour. Returning to our matrix, we see how aesthetic upgrades impact the budget. Opting for stamped finishes pushes the rate into a premium tier, landing between $12 and $18. For a 2-car footprint, decorative elements add thousands of dollars to the bottom line. The hidden trade-off for this profile is maintenance. To protect the colored surface from salt and moisture damage, you must commit to a strict schedule of resealing the slab every 2 to 3 years. Decorative concrete is a direct investment in your property's equity, provided you are willing to maintain the protective coat. Finally, we evaluate the heavy-duty user. This is the household that regularly parks an RV, a loaded work truck, or multiple heavy vehicles on their property. A standard 4-inch unreinforced driveway will simply not survive this use case. Under constant heavy loads, the slab will rapidly crack and fracture. This cross-section compares a standard 4-inch pour against a 6-inch slab reinforced with rebar. The standard slab bows and cracks under heavy weight. The reinforced slab holds its structural integrity. That internal rebar grid is critical for surviving violent winter freeze-thaw cycles. Checking the matrix, we see the requirements for the heavy-duty user. This buyer spends their premium budget entirely on invisible structural utility, upgrading to a 6-inch pour and sacrificing decorative finishes. The extra material and labor for steel reinforcement raises the base cost significantly. If you park heavy equipment, skipping these structural upgrades up front guarantees that you will spend exponentially more on a total replacement when your thin slab inevitably fails. To filter out the noise, we can boil these variables down into a single decision path. This flowchart starts with the most critical variable, the primary vehicle load on your property. If you park everyday commuters and want maximum long-term value, you follow the utility path. You should stick strictly to the 4-inch broom finish at $6 to $10 per square foot and confidently reject any upcharges for decorative finishes. If you only park standard vehicles but your sole focus is maximizing your home's exterior curb appeal, you take the aesthetic path. You target the stamped and colored $12 to $18 range, with the explicit understanding that you must budget for a strict biannual sealing cycle. Finally, if you park RVs and heavy trucks, your path is non-negotiable. You must secure a 6-inch steel-reinforced pour. If budget is tight, you sacrifice the decorative finishes to ensure you can afford the structural integrity. Regardless of which path you take, there is one absolute rule when evaluating your bids. You must demand a strict line-item breakdown covering existing driveway removal, site preparation, and drainage fixes. Uncovering those hidden baseline costs up front is the only way to ensure your final investment precisely matches your property's true needs.